Back in the book segment tonight, the drug war in Columbia, Missouri. Police recently raided a house of a suspected drug dealer.
You're fine. Somebody turn around. Stay around. Don't move!
During the raid, 2 dogs were shot, one of them dead, and a 7-year-old boy you just saw was watching it all. And what did the police find? A small bag of pot. That's it. The guy who lives in the house was fined $300. Joining us from Washington, Fox News analyst Charles Krauthammer. So the broader question here, Charles, is the drug war worth it? And people like John Stossel, we had a little bit earlier on the program, say, look, you saw what happened there. I mean, it shouldn't be happening in America. And you say?
Well, that was harrowing and horrible, but that botched raid is no more an argument against the drug laws than a botched raid on a car theft ring would be an argument against the laws that outlawed the theft of cars. The drug war is a war that's going to be with us till the end of time. We're never going to win the war on drugs. It's a matter of keeping it at the bay, and I think on balance, despite the costs, and they are huge, in corruption, money spent, excess of criminals in prison, all of that, they're high costs. Nonetheless, the social cost of legalized drug use, I think, would way outweigh that, and therefore it is worth it on balance.
Okay. Now, if you look at prohibition, it was repealed, and then the nation is able to drink alcohol, and the nation hasn't collapsed. Now, there are 10% of Americans that have a problem with alcohol. That's a lot, no doubt. But people say, look, if you're going to have alcohol and soft drugs anyway, like marijuana, you should legalize them and leave these people alone. And you say?
Well, that's a phony argument. It isn't as if we're choosing between our intoxicants and choosing, say, cocaine over alcohol. We are adding on to alcohol. Alcohol is ingrained in our culture, in our rituals, in our society. We're never going to eradicate it. So do you want to add to it? Do you really want to live in a society you can walk into a store and buy cocaine and a syringe in which you can inject it, or buy heroin, or buy methamphetamine, or buy hallucinogens of any kind? You want to live in that society in addition to alcohol, which, as you say, obviously is a problem? The answer, I think, is no.
Now, when you have a de facto legalization of marijuana in places like California with the medical marijuana ruse, which is exactly what that is, the societies are functioning there. I mean, I agree with you that the toll that drug involvement takes, 70% of child abuse in this country and neglect is attributed to substance abuse, 70%. So even if it was legalized, that number is going to go up. It's not going to go down. You're still stoned out of your mind, and your kid's looking at you, just like that poor little boy in that raid, okay? So that's my argument against it. Why give adults, irresponsible adults, even easier access to abuse their children? That's my argument. But you do have a de facto legalization of marijuana in a lot of states now because of the ruse of medical marijuana.
Well, I agree. Well, in terms of your argument, I think you're right. There's no question that if you legalize something, there's going to be extra use. The reason that ordinary folks don't use marijuana largely is because it's illegal. You know, people who are adults don't want to get on the wrong side of the law. If you legalize it, there'd be a lot of it. And for the hard stuff, you're right, it's not a self-involving crime only. It destroys individuals, but also the families and the children. And it also leads to an increase in crime, in vehicular accidents as well. Look, I could live, I think, with a test of the marijuana issue. On the others, I'm a fundamentalist. I would never legalize the hard stuff. With marijuana, I think you could have a test in 1 or 2 states, the way you've got a test of assisted suicide in Oregon, which I oppose, and see if it leads to an increase in car accidents, if it leads to an increase, if it's a gateway drug and leads to addiction.
It will lead to rehab, there's no doubt about that.
But so all of that I'd be willing to test.
All right, so we should have California, though, to be the laboratory, I think.
But that's a big lab. I'd rather do it in Rhode Island.
Yeah, but well, you got Brown University there, so you would have people here to do it. All right,
yeah,
Charles.
I'm sure it's already under the test there.
No, I'm going to get a lot of help for that.